in terms of performance enhancement, what we really mean is, you know, people operating at their optimal level. That's, you know, enhancing your performance, operating at your optimal level. So I'll just share the screen. Page 89. Of course, it goes without saying, but we'll say it anyway, to gain rapport. Number 2 is working out what the pain is around not having achieved this goal. What's the pain around not having achieved this goal? So let's take that as an example. And if one person wants to nominate something that they want to do better at, who wants to unmute themselves? Something you want to do better at.
Study.
Study, awesome. So what would be the pain around not doing study?
Failure.
And what does failure mean?
Not being able to pursue things that I want to do, not being, costing money at the end of the day, because your HEX fee is just already through the roof.
And then what are you, so you've got financial, so we would be writing that down. So there's a financial reason there because you now have that means Virginia HEX fees is, you know, university or college fees. Okay, so that's higher education fees. And you're not doing, you said you're not doing what you want to do, which is?
Oh, well, always a student, as you talking about. I just on this, when I can finish what I'm doing, it's going to allow me to move forward and progress further with a number of things that I've got going on.
Okay, so that I want to know that in a moment. I just want to focus on the pain. So the pain you said is the HEX fee, and then that failure. And what does that mean, failure? Like what you said, I'm not doing what I want to do. What are you doing then instead? You're not doing
that's it. The failure factor is just failure, just fear of failure.
Okay. And but what when you fail, what does it mean?
You're no good.
Okay. And so how does that look when you're no good? How does that transfer to your life?
Self-esteem issue. When people fail, they got some self-esteem issues, don't they? It affects.
Craig, Wasim.
I'm sorry. So
we're just doing a little demonstration here.
Sorry, my apologies.
Yeah. Look. Yeah. Feel like a failure. Feel unworthy, maybe, but it's not that I haven't, but I'm scared that I will.
Yeah, I know.
If I don't.
Yes. Well, we're talking about the
attack it.
The left, right? Yeah, path on the left. That's what we're talking about, which is that feeling of being no good, feeling unworthy. And how would that translate with relationships, with your life?
In reality, the family wouldn't care, but I would care because I would think that they would think that I was a failure.
Yeah, and so because you would care, there's got to be, again, you're going to be reacting to them in a certain way. How is it going to play out? Because you care.
Look, loss of credibility to a certain extent. I'll say these things haven't happened, but there's a fear there.
Yeah, they haven't happened because this is where you're at, the crossroad. You haven't gone down that left path yet, but we just want to have a look to see what it looks like.
Oh, okay. Yeah, if you put it on that. No, the left path has just got a big brick wall on it. It's just not acceptable. Okay.
All right. And so instead, when we go down to the right road, up the right road, up the right road. So what does that look like? I want you to create almost like this is the movie of your life, and there's a scene there in the future. It's a scene. What does that scene look like?
Probably validation.
Yeah, so give me a picture of that scene so that if you describe it, I can almost see that picture. What's happening? What are you doing?
Well, people are saying that you, hey, perhaps you do know what you're talking about. Reason for getting some qualifications, I think.
So how would you know that you are successful? Because that's, I think, what you're talking about. How would you know? What would be your proof?
Having successful businesses,
And
being able to help people.
Yeah, and what does that look like, a successful business? Like, what would be your proof? Yep, this is a successful business.
Okay, that in 10 years could sell that business as something that I've built that's got a worth to it that could, it's a means to an end. That in 5 years' time that it's successful and I'm doing what I want to do, the way I want to do it with the people that I want to do it with. But further on down the track, still doing that, but 10 years could be, okay, when it's time to pull the plug, there's something that you've built.
Okay.
That's got a worth.
Okay, and so for you, it's selling the business. Or would you know that it's successful before you sell the business?
I'd know that it's successful before that. Hopefully in 1 year I'll know whether I'm on that.
So give me that image 1 year from now as to what that looks like, that you know it's successful. When will you know it's successful? What does it look like?
A full book. Still doing the hypnotherapy, but continuing with my business consulting as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because I might not be ready to let go of that yet, and I might not be able to let go until one takes over the other.
I'm still hearing a bit of fear there. So
yeah, there's a lot.
we're talking about what does success look like. Now, the reason I'm persisting this with Craig, everybody, is this is what you've got to do, because you see that if he can't visualize it and see it, he's not going to achieve it. Do you get that? He's got to see what success looks like. He needs to see, what does this look like? If he's still giving excuses, oh, but in a year, I probably still have to do the consulting job because I may not be ready for it yet. He's still not buying into the picture. So we've got to...
Well, I think I am, but I'm being, I suppose, a bit similar to you, that I cannot start this off and have 5, 6 full days of being booked.
Yeah, but I didn't ask you what does it look like in a year. I said to you, when will you know that you are successful? So forget the time frame. Get that out of the way.
Okay, all right. Working with people that I want to, the way I want to, and when I want to, probably. So whether that is 6 days or 3 days or 2 days, whatever I think suits me at the time.
Working with people that you want to, when you want to.
Yeah, and how. And how I want to.
So would that image be almost like you see a full book, or how would you know that you're doing that?
I think it's control. I think it's control of my life. That no, I only do this amount of days because I want to go and spend time doing that, or with something else, or help.
Okay. So now we're there, right? We've got the part of your life where you're working with the people that you want to, when you want to, and how you want to. I want one scene in that part of your life, one scene that encapsulates that, like it's a movie. What's a scene that encapsulates that?
I haven't thought long enough about it because I'm not really sure at the moment. I haven't got that scene in my head, which for a creative director and goes visual on everything, I can't do that about myself. I haven't got that image.
So let's create it.
I can't bring it down to one scene.
What kinds of things would be happening, Craig? If you're successful, what kinds of things would be happening in your life? How would it be playing out? It could be, look, I'm not going to put these into your head, but it might be, you know, you look at your diary for the week and go, oh, I love my week that's coming up. It's exactly who I want to see, exactly the way that I want to see them. And it just feels so good. And right now what I'm going to do is this. So, you know, I don't know, but you do, as to how that actually looks like.
Well, yeah, I think it's that being in control of how I go about it and being satisfied that that's where I want to be. You might be right. Each day may be different, but you find that today's the day that I'm not doing this work, so I'm helping my wife, or I'm helping my family with their things, or I'm doing whatever I want to do without constraints of all the other things.
So what would be one activity where you're doing what you want to do, and that signifies that you're doing what you want to do? You're feeling good about it because it's on your terms. What I'm hearing from you is it's life on my terms. So what would be an activity that you would be doing that is life on your terms, that actually symbolizes that?
I can't bring it down to one because there's so many things that... Pick one. Looking after my property, not having to worry about going in on the tractor, making sure that I've got all the fields looked after, the fences done, all these things that have been held back, the money to do it, the better tractor to be able to enjoy it more.
Okay, so now we have a scene. Yay! So imagine that morning, you know, you wake up in the morning, you have a look at your diary, and you're like, yeah, I know when I'm going to do that. I can't wait to see those clients. But today, because this is my life and this is my terms, I can't wait to get out into my property so that I can actually, you know, work the tractors and all the rest of it, and creating your perfect day. So you need to be connected to your perfect day.
Okay.
Okay? You need to be connected as to why you're doing this in the first place.
Okay.
And so you need to be specific, because if we're not specific with our target, we're never going to hit it.
Yes, I know. It just sort of feels a bit selfish, that's all. Because there's... Yeah.
What?
Responsibilities to other people.
And so if you do this perfect day, who are you going to negatively impact?
Well, this is the other thing. If I do the other things, this perfect day can happen, because then I've deserved it. I've been able to work for that and get that perfect day. But the responsibilities of other things never go away.
Oh, exactly. But what we're talking about is that you've got a successful outcome, not an unsuccessful outcome. So you do deserve it. You've worked for it. You haven't just magically transported there. You've worked for it to get there. Does that make sense?
I think so. Yeah, look, I've never looked for myself like that.
So it's time that you did. What do you think about that?
I think you're right.
So we need to be as specific as possible about our target day and what it looks like, what it feels like, what it smells like, so we can actually feel it. We can feel it. We can feel what that perfect day is. And
Yeah, probably doing that stuff without guilt.
That's right. And what ingredient needs to be in there so there's no guilt?
Organisation, so I can do the stuff, and a platform to be able to do it.
So
did we start on study?
yeah, but this is where it's leading to, right?
So it still comes full term to what we talked about yesterday. If I can get, and I'm not having problems at the moment with any of the study, but I'm scared that if I don't, it all falls apart. And even with this, so there's a motivation to not fail, but that's a negative thing. It's probably better it's a positive thing.
Exactly. And that's why we want to create this positive picture as opposed to a negative picture. So in order for you to have your successful outcome, you have worked for it. You've deserved it. You got there. But at the moment, you're still not, your subconscious mind is still not, and this is nothing against you, Craig, because this is a picture, like you said, you haven't created before. And so obviously your subconscious mind is not used to this picture. It's mental training. So you haven't trained this in this scene yet. We've got to get you trained up in having this scene and being okay with this scene. At the moment, you're not okay with the scene. But we need to get you okay with this scene very specifically. What does this scene look like? You can visualize it, imagine it. Make sure that you can see it. Make sure that you can, that if you were describing it, we can see it. We know what that scene looks like, okay? When you're out in the tractor, and there is no guilt because you've done everything else that you need to do to get there. And that's the feeling. The feeling is what? What's the positive feeling associated with that picture?
Satisfaction.
And how else do you feel when you feel satisfied?
Well, happy.
Good.
Content.
Good. So any picture that you create has no power unless it's got emotion in it. It's powerless without emotion. You can think all you like, but if you don't feel anything, it's powerless. So...
No, sorry it took so long. You asked for one. I gave you study, and look how long you've spent on it. So
this is very valuable, Craig. So everybody needs to see this play out. There's no point showing an example of, you know, an easy answer with, okay, there you go. This is more valuable than a simple response.
For me, but what about everyone else they've been sitting there listening to?
It's more valuable to everybody because now they know what they need to do to get here. Manar's got thumbs up. Beck is nodding furiously. Yelka's nodding furiously. If Virginia did have the energy, she'd be nodding furiously. Everybody would be nodding furiously. So everybody needed to see that exercise, okay? So what needs to happen is you need to write up that picture. Write up that picture for yourself in terms of what that looks like and use the present tense. And then once you've used that and created this picture, you know, I am, you know, using those words, not I will be, I am. This is what's happening around me. And this is how I'm feeling. Remember what I said on day one. The subconscious mind doesn't differentiate between fantasy and reality. So you need to give your subconscious mind a picture that serves you, not one that doesn't. And then after you visualize that picture, seen it, heard it, smelt it, use all the 5 senses in that picture to exactly what that looks like. Then if we look at, I'll share back the screen. So what I did with Craig then was I did number 2. We talked about the pain associated with it, and he said, well, then he would have a debt. He would feel no good. He would feel unworthy. There would be a loss of credibility, loss of validation. What would this success give him? It would give him he would be happy because he would be able to see clients that he wants to see, when he wants to see them, how he wants to see them. He would have a full book, but he would still be able to do those activities that give him joy on the land with the tractor. And he would be feeling happy with that and content and satisfied. And once he's done that and created that scene, we ask Craig to then dissociate from that script. So first of all, feel it. So let's do that, Craig. What I want you to do now is I want you to close your eyes and I want you to imagine that you have studied. You've studied hard. You got results. And with those results, you've got the business that you want to have. You are working with people that you want to work with, when you want to work with them and how you want to work with them. And I want you to imagine that on this particular day, you're up. You already know that the schedule's worked out for the week. It's a full schedule, but today you're going to get out on the land and do what you need to do and what you love doing more than anything in the world. Feeling proud and content and satisfied that you've worked hard to get to this moment and you deserve it. And now what I want you to do is I want you to see it, feel it, hear it. Really see it, feel it, hear it. Notice how good that feels. And now almost keeping your eyes closed, almost step outside the picture and look at that picture. Look at yourself on the land doing what you need to do. Loving every moment because you've worked for this moment. You deserve it. Okay, now open your eyes. Okay, now close your eyes. Let's go back. And I want you to look again at that picture. Look again at that picture. See it. See what you're doing. Notice what you're doing. Notice your movements, your body language. Notice your energy about you. See it. See yourself there doing that. And now open your eyes. Okay, now close your eyes. And I want you to see that again. It's almost as if it's on a movie screen, watching that scene of yourself on that tractor. You can almost hear the sounds of birds around you. And just smell the grass around you. Okay, good. Now open your eyes. Close your eyes. Once again, I want you to see that scene of yourself. Just watch it in motion. And really being proud that when you believe something, when you expect it and when you know it and you work for it, you get it. I'm feeling so proud of your achievements. Notice how good that feels. Okay, now open your eyes. So how do you feel about that scene now?
Good.
Good. So when you go into that future, Craig, when you go into that future and you see yourself there, just go there now, into that future. Just close your eyes just one more time. And you're there now. You're there in that future. In that future. And talk to me about how you are feeling now.
Yeah, good. It's a great feeling because it's what I've wanted for a while. I've had this feeling before, and I think that feeling is back with this.
That's beautiful. And use that anchor that you learned on day one and press your fingers now. Press that finger and just feel that feeling. Feel like it even stronger, course through your heart. How good does that feel now? Oh, now keep that anchor. Awesome. And when you're ready, opening your eyes. So the next time that it's time to study, you're going to press that anchor. And how does that feel?
Clear.
Good. Beautiful. All right. So, any questions from anybody in the group? Thank you, Craig, for being honest and vulnerable and putting yourself out there and being real.
Scary being vulnerable.
Best. That's how we move forward. We don't grow by staying safe. We only grow by becoming vulnerable. That's called courage, and that's the only way that our comfort zone increases.